His hand, the one that wore the watch I spent 3 months saving for, slips from mine. It's a slow, deliberate slide of skin against skin, a finality that feels more like a verdict than a goodbye. Derek's warmth is gone, replaced by the sterile chill of the airport terminal. I watch his back as he walks toward Gate 12. A woman is waiting for him there. Sophia. She rises from a molded plastic chair, and a flash of light catches my eye. It's a Cartier bracelet, a delicate chain of gold and diamonds that glints under the relentless fluorescent lights. It's the same bracelet I'd pointed out in a magazine weeks ago, the one I said was ridiculously beautiful, the one he must have bought her instead of the second ticket to Paris. The bitter taste of lukewarm airport coffee, thick and acidic, coats my tongue. It's a taste I'll forever associate with betrayal. The scent of his cologne, a sandalwood and bergamot blend I'd bought him for our anniversary, hangs in the air between us. It was always a comfort, a scent that meant he was near. Now it just reeks of lies. My chest tightens. It's a specific kind of pain, a hollow ache that feels like watching your entire future get canceled on the departures board. I can't breathe. I can't think. My world has just shrunk to the space between Gate 11, where I'm standing with a single boarding pass to Paris, and Gate 12, where my fiancé is kissing another woman. The flight to Paris boards in 20 minutes, babe. I hear Sophia purr, her voice carrying across the terminal. Babe. The word is a slap. Our engagement trip, the one we'd planned for a year, the one that was supposed to be the start of our forever, just became their honeymoon. My fingers, cold and numb, clutch the thin paper of my boarding pass. My name is printed on it. Maya Williams. Soon, it would have been Maya Morrison. The thought is a fresh wave of nausea. I look at the clock on the wall, 10:45 p.m. My flight leaves at 11:25 p.m. His flight, their flight, leaves at 11:05 p.m. He left me with 20 minutes to spare. How considerate. My mind, a place of foggy disbelief just a moment ago, starts to clear. A cold, hard clarity cuts through the pain. He thinks he's leaving me here, stranded and heartbroken. He thinks I'll just crumble. He's probably right. A part of me is crumbling, turning to dust. But another part, a part I didn't even know existed, is solidifying. It's turning to steel. I won't get on the plane to Paris. I won't go back to the apartment we shared. I won't be the girl he left at the airport. I watch them turn, hand in hand, and walk down the jet bridge. They don't look back. Of course they don't. In their story, I'm just a loose end, neatly tied up and discarded. My mind starts to calculate. Not the loss, not the heartbreak, but the next move. A timer starts in my head. He thinks he's won. He thinks this is the end. He has no idea this is the beginning. I give myself 24 hours. 24 hours to grieve, to shatter, and to rebuild myself into someone he won't recognize. 24 hours until I disappear from his life, only to reappear in the one place he'll never expect. My hand is trembling, but my voice is steady when I speak to the airline agent. I need to cancel this ticket. She gives me a sympathetic look, the kind you give to people whose worlds have just imploded in a public space. I don't want her pity. I want a refund. As I walk away from the counter, leaving my Parisian dream behind, I feel the first spark of something new. It's not happiness. It's not hope. It's rage. And rage, I realize, is a powerful fuel. My fingers tremble as I scroll through my contacts, past friends who will ask questions I can't answer, past colleagues who will offer condolences I don't want. I stop at a name I haven't looked at in 8 years, a name I swore I would never need again. Dad. The last time I saw him, I was 19, full of naive certainty and misplaced pride. I was choosing Derek, a charismatic, ambitious builder with a 5-year plan and a smile that made me feel like the only person in the world. I was choosing love over legacy, a small apartment in the city over a sprawling estate in the country. I was choosing Williams over Sterling. He's not one of us, Maya, my father had said, his voice clipped and cold, devoid of the warmth I remembered from my childhood. We were in his study, a room paneled with dark wood and smelling of old books and power. He sees you as a stepping stone, a shortcut to a world he can't enter on his own. You're wrong, I'd shot back, my voice shaking with the self-righteous anger only a teenager can muster. He loves me. You just can't stand that I've found happiness without your money. The memory stings, sharper now with the fresh wound of Derek's betrayal. My father was right. He was right about all of it. The thought is a bitter pill to swallow. I press the call button before I can lose my nerve. It rings once, twice. I almost hang up, the old pride warring with my new, desperate reality. Then, the ringing stops. Maya? His voice is exactly as I remember it. Like expensive whiskey, smooth and sharp at the same time. It cuts through the fog of my tears, a familiar anchor in a world that has come unmoored. There's no surprise in his tone, no sentimental, "I've missed you." Just a simple, weighted question in his one word. Dad! I choke out, my throat tight. The sound of my own voice saying the word feels foreign. After 8 years of silence, you're calling now? He doesn't wait for an answer. He already knows it. What did he do? The dam breaks. Sobs rack my body, ugly, gasping sounds that echo in the quiet of the nearly empty airport. I tell him everything. The airport, Sophia, the Cartier bracelet, the engagement trip that wasn't for me. I tell him how Derek always made me feel like I was lucky to have him, how he'd gently mock my ambitions, telling me my art history degree was sweet but not practical, how he'd convinced me that my family's world was suffocating and that he was my freedom. My father listens without interruption. There's no "I told you so." He just lets me pour out the poison, the humiliation, the heartbreak. When I'm finished, when there's nothing left but shaky breaths, a profound silence hangs between us. I want to come home, I whisper. My jet will be on the tarmac in 2 hours, he says, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. I'll send the gate information to your phone. Relief washes over me so potent it makes my knees weak. But it's not enough. Just going home isn't enough. I need more. I need a purpose for this pain. Dad, I say, my voice harder now, the steel I felt earlier starting to take shape. There's more. I'm listening. I need to learn everything about Sterling Industries. I take a breath, the words tasting like vengeance. Especially the Morrison account. There's a pause on the other end of the line. I know what he's thinking. The Morrison account is the massive multi-million-dollar contract that Derek's construction company just landed with Sterling Industries. It's their biggest project to date. The one that's going to make Derek a major player in the industry. The one he bragged about for weeks, telling me how he'd finally impressed the great Harrison Sterling. He has no idea that the man he's so desperate to impress is the father of the woman he just discarded like trash. You want to work for me, my father states, a hint of something unreadable in his tone. Amusement? Pride? I want to learn from you, I clarify. I want to understand the business. I want to be useful. I want to be the one who brings him to his knees. I don't say the last part out loud. I don't have to. You're my daughter, Maya. You have a mind for this. I've always known that. His voice softens just for a moment. I wondered how long it would take you to figure it out for yourself. He pauses again, and when he speaks, the warmth is gone, replaced by the calculating tone of the CEO. The Morrison account is a 3-year project. Complex, high stakes. It requires a delicate touch. I can be delicate, I say, my voice as cold as ice. I can almost hear the smile in his voice. Be at gate 3B in 2 hours. We have a lot of work to do. He hangs up. I stare at my phone, the screen now dark. Derek Morrison thinks he's on a plane to Paris, to a new life with a new woman and a career that's about to skyrocket. He has no idea he's flying straight into a storm. And I am the storm. His ex-fiancée, the girl with the useless art degree, is about to become his worst nightmare. 6 months is a surprisingly long time. It's long enough for a broken heart to scar over, for tears to dry up, for grief to harden into something sharper, more useful. It's long enough to earn an accelerated MBA from Harvard, pulling all-nighters fueled by coffee and a burning desire to prove everyone, especially Derek, wrong. It's long enough to transform. I stride through the marble lobby of Sterling Industries, the click of my Louboutin heels echoing off the polished floors. The tailored lines of my Armani suit are a second skin. an armor I've spent the last half year forging. I am no longer Maya Williams, the soft, trusting artist. I am Maya Sterling, and this is my father's kingdom, and soon a piece of it will be mine. My father, Harrison Sterling, greets me at the elevator bank with a curt nod. His eyes, the same shade of blue as my own, hold a glint of approval. He hasn't been easy on me. He's pushed me, tested me, thrown me into the deep end of corporate finance, contract law, and strategic negotiations. He's treated me not as his long-lost daughter, but as his most promising trainee, and I have not disappointed him. Ready? He asks. More than ready, I reply, my voice even and cool. The conference room is on the 40th floor, a glass-walled cage with a panoramic view of the city. The men around the mahogany table are the lions of Sterling Industries, the heads of various departments. And at the far end of the room, standing before a projection screen displaying quarterly growth charts, is Derek. He looks good, confident. He's wearing a suit that's a little too flashy, a watch that's a little too big. He's playing the part of the successful CEO, and for a moment, a phantom pain lances through my chest, the ghost of the man I thought I loved. I snuff it out without a second thought. That man never existed. He's in the middle of a sentence, his voice smooth and persuasive when we enter. He doesn't notice me at first. His focus is on my father. "Harrison, good to see you," he says, his smile wide and practiced. "I was just walking your team through our progress on the Morrison project. We're ahead of schedule and under budget." "Excellent," my father says, his voice commanding the room's attention. He walks to the head of the table. I follow a step behind him. "Gentlemen, before we continue, I have an announcement." All eyes are on him. Derek's smile is still plastered on his face, expectant. He probably thinks he's about to get a public commendation. "I'd like you to meet the newest member of our executive team," my father continues, gesturing to me. "Maya Sterling, our new Vice President of Strategic Acquisitions." I step forward into the light, and I watch Derek's face. It's a slow-motion crumbling. The confident smile falters, then dissolves completely. His eyes widen, a flicker of confusion giving way to dawning, horrified recognition. His face, tanned and handsome just moments before, drains of all its color, leaving behind a pasty, sickly pallor. It's the most satisfying thing I've seen in 6 months. "Maya?" he stammers, the name a strange, foreign sound on his lips. Then his eyes flick from my face to my father's and back again. The pieces click into place in his mind, and the full weight of the situation crashes down on him. "Sterling?" The room is silent. The other executives are watching the drama unfold, their faces a mixture of curiosity and caution. They can smell blood in the water. I give him a small, cold smile. I let my gaze sweep over him, from his expensive shoes to his suddenly sweating brow. I let him feel the full force of my judgment. "Surprised, Derek?" I say, my voice calm and steady. I walk to the empty chair at the head of the table directly opposite him and settle into it as if it were a throne. "You always said I'd never amount to anything without you. I guess you were wrong." His mouth opens and closes, like a fish gasping for air. His confident facade, the one he wore so effortlessly, is cracking like cheap paint. He looks at my father, a desperate, pleading look in his eyes. But my father's face is a mask of cool indifference. There is no help for him here. The temperature in the room seems to drop 20 degrees. The air is thick with unspoken history, with the raw, brutal truth of what is happening. He didn't just cheat on his fiancée. He cheated on a Sterling. And in this room, in this world, that is a cardinal sin. He thought he was climbing the ladder of success. He has no idea that I am the one who is about to kick it out from under him. The presentation he was so proud of is still on the screen behind him, but no one is looking at it. All eyes are on us. The show has just begun. The mahogany table is long and imposing, polished to a mirror shine. It reflects the grim faces of the Sterling executives and the city lights twinkling in the late afternoon sky. It reflects my face, too. Calm, composed, unreadable. And it reflects Derek's face, which is a maelstrom of shock, rage, and a burgeoning, beautiful panic. I let the silence stretch, letting him stew in the acid of his own realization. He's been trying to regain his footing for the past hour, attempting to continue his presentation with a bravado that rings hollow. His voice, once so smooth, now cracks intermittently. He keeps fumbling his notes, his hands shaking. He's a dead man walking, and everyone in the room knows it. Finally, when I have decided he's suffered enough in the purgatory of uncertainty, I make my move. I slide a single slim file across the table. It's not a thick, intimidating stack of papers. It's just a few pages, held together by a simple clip, all the more lethal for its simplicity. The file glides silently over the polished wood, coming to a stop directly in front of him. He stares at it as if it's a venomous snake. "What's this?" he asks, his voice barely a whisper. "That," I say, my voice clear and carrying to every corner of the room, "is the termination of your contract." A collective, sharp intake of breath ripples through the executives. My father remains impassive, his hands steepled in front of him. He's given me full authority on this. This is my kill. Derek's head snaps up, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You can't. The project, we're ahead of schedule. The numbers are solid." "The numbers are creative," I counter, my voice dripping with ice. "I've had my team conduct a full audit of the Morrison project. The materials you've been using are substandard. Your safety reports have been falsified. You've been cutting corners, Derek, and billing us for the full price. It's a classic and, frankly, amateurish case of fraud." Each word is a hammer blow dismantling the facade of his success. The color drains from his face completely. He's looking at the end of his career and he knows it. "Effective immediately," I announce, my gaze sweeping across the room to include all the executives. "Sterling Industries is pulling the Morrison account due to performance concerns." I use the professional jargon deliberately. It's so much more brutal than a personal attack. It's not about his heartless betrayal of me. It's about his professional incompetence. It's a judgment he can't appeal. He opens the file. His eyes scan the top page, the one with the bold, uncompromising header, "Notice of Contract Termination." He sees the detailed list of breaches, the evidence my team has meticulously compiled over the last 2 months. He sees my signature at the bottom, crisp and unforgiving. Maya Sterling, VP of Strategic Acquisitions. His face cycles through the stages of grief right there in front of us. The shock gives way to a flash of pure rage, his knuckles turning white as he grips the edge of the table. Then comes the panic, wild and animalistic. He looks like a cornered rat. "This is because of us," he hisses, leaning forward, his voice low and venomous. He's trying to drag this into the personal, to make it a lover's quarrel. It's a desperate, foolish move. I raise an eyebrow, my expression one of bored amusement. "Us? Derek, there is no use. There is a contract and you have breached it. This is business. You, of all people, should understand that." I stand up, smoothing the front of my suit jacket. "The termination clause is quite clear. You'll have 12 hours to vacate the site. Our legal team will be in touch regarding the financial penalties." 12 hours. I give him a timer, just like he gave me at the airport. In 12 hours, his world will be over. He'll lose his biggest client, the one that was supposed to make his reputation. When word of this gets out, and it will, I'll make sure of it, no one in this city will touch his company with a 10-foot pole. His reputation will be in ashes. And Sophia. What will she do when she finds out her golden goose is cooked? She didn't choose him for his charm. She chose him for his success, for the penthouse apartment and the Cartier bracelets. When that's all gone, she'll be gone too. Derek looks at me, his eyes pleading now. The arrogance is gone, replaced by a raw, pathetic desperation. He sees his empire, the one he built on my back, on my family's name, crumbling into dust. And he sees me, the woman he thought was a footnote in his story, standing here with the pen, writing his final chapter. He's finally realizing that his survival depends entirely on my mercy, and I have none left to give. I used it all up on a cold floor at Gate 11. "The meeting is adjourned," I say, turning my back on him without another glance. I walk out of the room, the click of my heels the only sound, a steady, rhythmic countdown to the end of his world. The elevator ride down from the 40th floor feels like a descent from a battlefield. The adrenaline begins to fade, replaced by a cold, quiet satisfaction. But it's not over. Ruining his company was the first strike. The second needs to be more personal. I bypass the chauffeured car my father has waiting for me and hail a cab. I give the driver an address I know by heart, an address that once represented all my hopes and dreams. The address of the penthouse Derek and I were supposed to move into after our wedding. The one he moved into with Sophia 2 weeks after he left me. The doorman recognizes me. A flicker of pity and confusion crosses his face. He probably remembers me from when I used to visit with Derek, starry-eyed and oblivious. I give him a polite, dismissive nod and head straight for the private elevator. When the doors open directly into the apartment's foyer, the first thing I see is a pair of Sophia's heels, carelessly kicked off by the door. They're gaudy, rhinestone-encrusted things. Tacky. The whole apartment feels like that now. What was once supposed to be our sanctuary of minimalist elegance is now cluttered with Sophia's garish taste. A faux leopard print throw is draped over the white leather sofa. A hideous, oversized portrait of her hangs on the wall where I had planned to put a beautiful abstract painting. Derek is standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, a glass of whiskey in his hand, staring out at the city as the sun begins to set. The light casts long, dramatic shadows across the room. He looks like a man in a tragedy, which I suppose he is. He turns as he hears me enter. His face is haggard, his suit jacket is off, and his tie is loosened. The fight has gone out of him, leaving behind a brittle, exhausted shell. "Maya, what are you doing here?" he asks, his voice hoarse. I don't answer. I simply walk to the center of the room and place a thick envelope on the glass coffee table. It lands with a soft, definitive thud. "The foreclosure notice," I say, my voice devoid of emotion. "The bank is calling in the loan. Turns out when your primary backer pulls out, your credit score plummets. Who knew?" He stares at the envelope, then at me, his eyes hollow. "This apartment. We picked it out together." "Yes, we did," I agree. "You promised we'd grow old here. A pity you had to defile it with all this." I gesture vaguely at the room, at the evidence of Sophia. He flinches as if I'd slapped him. "You can't do this, Maya. I loved you," he shouts, his voice cracking with a desperation that sounds more like self-pity than conviction. I laugh. It's a short, sharp, ugly sound. "Love? Is that what you call it? Leaving me stranded at an airport without a word for another woman? That's not love, Derek. That's cowardice." I reach into my purse and pull out another, smaller envelope. I toss it onto the table next to the foreclosure notice. "And speaking of the great love of your life," he hesitantly picks it up and pulls out the contents. They're photographs. High-resolution, glossy photographs of Sophia. Sophia having an intimate dinner with a silver-haired man who looks suspiciously like a rival real estate developer. Sophia kissing that same man in the back of a taxi. Sophia wearing a new, even more expensive-looking bracelet, entering a hotel with him. The timestamps on the photos are from the last 2 months. "She's been cheating on you, Derek," I say, my voice a soft, venomous whisper. "Just like you cheated on me. It seems she has a taste for upgrades. And you, my dear, are about to be significantly downgraded." He sags, the photos slipping from his fingers and scattering across the floor. The last bit of air seems to leave his body. He has lost his company, his home, and the woman he threw his life away for, all in the span of a few hours. The setting sun bathes the room in a fiery orange glow. It illuminates the dust motes dancing in the air, the scattered photos of his lover's betrayal, the stark white of the foreclosure notice. It's a beautiful, apocalyptic sunset. I look at him one last time. The powerful, arrogant man I once loved is gone. In his place is just a man. A broken, pathetic man who made a series of bad choices and is now facing the consequences. He is nothing to me now, not a monster, not an enemy, just a cautionary tale. "Goodbye, Derek," I say, turning and walking back to the elevator. I don't look back. There's nothing left to see. This is the last time I will ever see him as anything more than a memory, a ghost in a penthouse of broken promises. The elevator doors slide shut, and I ascend, leaving him behind in the twilight of his ruined life. The Sterling Industries annual gala is the social and financial event of the season. It's a glittering affair held in the grand ballroom of the city's most exclusive hotel. The air hums with the quiet murmur of immense wealth, the clinking of crystal champagne flutes, and the rustle of silk and couture gowns. Tonight, however, it's not just a party. It's an execution chamber, and Derek Morrison is the guest of honor. I've spent the last week strategically leaking information. Whispers of substandard materials on the Morrison project, rumors of a massive contract termination, hints of financial instability. The investment community is a flock of nervous birds. It doesn't take much to make them scatter. By the time Derek arrives tonight, looking pale and desperate in a tuxedo that seems a size too big, the vultures are already circling. I watch from across the room as investors who were whining and dining him a month ago now turn their backs, their faces cold and dismissive. His social currency has evaporated. I'm standing by the towering champagne fountain, a vision in a sapphire blue gown that matches my father's eyes. I feel a sense of déjà vu. 6 months ago, I was in an airport watching my life fall apart. Now, I'm at the epicenter of power, the architect of another's destruction. The transformation feels complete. He corners me just as I knew he would. His face is flushed, his eyes wild. The desperation has curdled into a resentful fury. "You're destroying everything I worked for," he hisses, his voice low and ragged, trying not to make a scene. "Everything you worked for?" I reply, taking a calm sip of my champagne. "That's rich coming from you. Let's be honest, Eric. You didn't work for it. You schemed for it. You lied for it. You used me for it." "I built my company from nothing, Maya," he insists, his voice rising. "You wouldn't know anything about that. You're just daddy's little princess, playing with real people's lives." His words are meant to sting, to reduce me to the stereotype he always wanted me to be. But they don't touch me. I am so far beyond his petty insults now. Real people. I set my champagne flute down with a delicate click. I turn to face him fully, my voice dropping to a dangerously quiet level. "You mean like the real person you left crying at an airport? The one whose heart you played with? You seem to have a very selective definition of real people." "Derek." I gesture to the glittering crowd around us, the titans of industry, the banking magnates, the venture capitalists. "These real people are your lifeline. Their trust, their investment, is the only thing keeping your sinking ship afloat, and they are about to learn exactly what kind of man you are." I pull out my phone and tap a single button. It's connected to the massive presentation screen that hangs above the stage, the one currently displaying the Sterling Industries logo. The logo vanishes. In its place, an image appears. A forged invoice from one of his suppliers, billing Sterling Industries for high-grade steel, while the corresponding shipping manifest shows he received cheap, substandard alloy. Then another document clicks onto the screen. An email from Derek to his site foreman, instructing him to fudge the numbers on a safety inspection report. Then a bank statement showing a suspicious payment to a city building inspector. A gasp ripples through the ballroom. The quiet murmur of conversation dies instantly. All eyes are on the screen. I had my team gather this for months. Every fake document, every bribe, every email, every corner he cut to win the Sterling contract. It's all there, a meticulous, undeniable timeline of his fraud. The evidence spills across the screen, one damning slide after another. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. The room is utterly silent, save for the soft clicking of the presentation changing. I've hijacked his public execution and turned it into a masterclass in corporate due diligence. Derek is frozen, his face a mask of horror. He's been stripped bare in front of the very people he spent his life trying to impress. His reputation, so carefully constructed, is being systematically, digitally, and publicly incinerated. He looks at me, his eyes pleading, broken. There is nowhere for him to run, nowhere to hide. The bright, glittering ballroom has become his personal hell. The final slide appears. It's not a document. It's a simple photo. A picture of me and him from a year ago, on the day we got engaged. We're smiling, happy, oblivious. Underneath it, a single line of text. "Character is what you do when you think no one is watching." I pick up my champagne flute and raise it in a silent, mocking toast to him. He doesn't see it. He's just staring at the screen, at the ghost of the man he used to be, and the woman who brought him to ruin. The spilled wine of his transgressions has stained everything, and it can never be washed away. The security guards are discreet, professional. They flank Derek. Their presence a quiet but unyielding statement. His public humiliation is complete. As they escort him from the gala, his face pale and slack with shock, he looks like a man who has had his soul surgically removed. He doesn't struggle. He doesn't speak. He just shuffles towards the exit, a ghost at his own funeral. As he passes me, our eyes meet for a final, fleeting moment. There's nothing there. No anger, no hatred, no pleading, just a vast, empty void. He is a hollowed-out man. "Checkmate," I whisper, so softly that only I can hear it. The gala continues, the murmur of conversation slowly returning, but the energy in the room has shifted. I am no longer just Harrison Sterling's daughter. I am a power to be reckoned with. I see it in the way people look at me now, with a new respect, mingled with a healthy dose of fear. The next morning, Derek Morrison's arrest is the headline on every financial news site. The story of his fraud, his contract termination, and his public downfall at the Sterling Gala becomes an instant legend in the business community. His company, Morrison Construction, declares bankruptcy within a week. 5 years later, the dust has long since settled. The name Derek Morrison is now just a footnote, a cautionary tale used in business school ethics classes to illustrate the perils of hubris and fraud. Sophia, true to form, left him the day his accounts were frozen. I heard she married a tech billionaire in Silicon Valley, a man who probably has no idea about her penchant for Cartier and her crippling gambling addiction. But that's his story, not mine. I never went back to being just a vice president at Sterling Industries. After a year of proving my worth, I took the knowledge, the capital, and the reputation I had built and struck out on my own. Today, I run my own venture capital firm, Sterling Ventures. We don't invest in construction companies. We invest in people. Specifically, we fund startups led by brilliant, ambitious women. Women who have been told they are not enough. Women who have had their ideas dismissed. Women who have had their light dimmed by men who were afraid of their shine. We give them the capital and the mentorship to build their own empires. My office overlooks the city, not far from the penthouse where my old life imploded. Sometimes I look out at the skyline, at the buildings that scrape the clouds, symbols of ambition and power. I used to think power was about revenge, about taking back what was stolen from you. I was wrong. The girl who was abandoned at Gate 12 learned a valuable lesson. She learned that heartbreak can be a catalyst, that rage can be a fuel, and that the best revenge isn't destroying the person who broke you. It's becoming everything they said you'd never be, and then some. It's building something better from the ashes. Power isn't about who left you behind. It's about who you choose to lift up. And from my view, high above the city, I can see a new generation of women rising, and I am here to help them fly.